What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Rezolve AI. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Rezolve is down slightly, 0.64%, 602 the low, 632 the high, and 13 million shares being traded. So very low volume. I actually wasn't intending on doing a Rezolve video, but I received a lot of comments on both Twitter, DMs, asking me to do a Rezolve video. So here it is. So I wanted to go over some of the data points, and to be fully honest, I saw that they did put out news, but I think I was just waiting more for some additional clarity. So I did put out formal news as well as a post on social media just saying Rezolve AI unveils its framework for what it believes will be the next era of intelligent trade. And so if you click on this and go over it, it kind of gives a general framework, but still I feel like this is overly complex and should have been done in a demonstration type of format, or let alone a interview. This right here just leaves more questions than answers. So in my opinion, I don't really like this news whatsoever, and I've already been and said my reservations about Rezolve, because any stock doing PR blitzes usually doesn't have the best intent, and last time I kind of called out Rezolve, they did dilute. So in reality, they put out news yesterday as well as Friday, October the 1st, and then today. So this is something, again, I feel like is just not really appealing to a lot of institutions. And this is why we've seen a drop in the volume after their most recent earnings. Even though they did give good future guidance, raised expectations and everything, which was phenomenal, but now people are just, show me. Wait and see. And the bad thing about, I guess, Rezolve is it has semi-annual earnings. So we have to pretty much wait a solid 6-7 months for them to disclose how the last half of the year went. So it's just unfortunate timing, in my opinion. And like I said, I think today's news, in theory, is good. Like, I can think of some good hypotheticals how this would play out, but still it would be better suited in a video format. Aside from that though, Rezolve's just kind of getting piggybacked off the broader market of sorts, just without the good volume. And I think right now Rezolve is a very big momentum play, and for a momentum play you need a lot of capital to get in. As soon as that capital dries up, you tend to kind of go down a little bit, but these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So 2 sells, 3 buys. So good to see institutions kind of paying attention to it. But comparing this to what it was like leading up to their earnings, night and day difference, as what I showed you in many videos. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So dark pool is often enough used by hedge funds as well as shorts. So the largest transaction today is 409,000. Again, comparing this to like 2 weeks ago, massive difference. So goes to show that big money is kind of just waiting on the sidelines. Shorts at the time of doing this video are returning about 47,000 shares. 7.19% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 11.19 million shares. So shorts actually have done a fairly good job of returning. So it peaked at about, looks like 10.5%. So they've returned quite a lot ever since September the 29th. Through IBKR, it does indicate 1 million shares is available to be shorted. And so that does show that there's sufficient amount of available shares. So the fact that shorts aren't doubling down is kind of optimistic. So I think even the shorts right now are just saying, hey, let's see what happens next. Let's see what actually, like, how things play out. So I think just generally a lot of people are just now watching Rezolve. So that's kind of a good thing. There was a new rating that did come out. I see some articles kind of talking about that. I'm not overly bullish about it because there's a couple of stocks that I've covered in the past, and generally I do not like Northland. So that's just my own personal experience based on that. I think that usually from what I've researched, they're paid to do ratings. So Michael, who has a 45% success rating, did reiterate their $7 target. And so of course that was done and posted today. Just to give you a quick overview of why I don't like, for instance, Michael or Northland, is because their last rating did come out October the 2nd. So there was no fundamental change with Rezolve from October the 2nd to October the 8th, and nothing changed for the price. So, and I looked at the reports, nothing changed really. So in general, he just wants his name to be the most recent rating. And I think a lot of analysts like to do that, or potentially as well, like I said, possibly Northland could have been paid for just another review. And this is why, especially with Rezolve being at $6, if an analyst comes in at $7, it's seen as optimistic. So again, I'm not really jumping up and down over this new rating whatsoever, but as a consensus of all the most recent ratings, $9.71, and that does represent a 56.7% upside. Looking at the options, 1.6 million in calls, 135,000 in puts, 50% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. So despite everything and somewhat the mixed data that I'm kind of sharing with you, you do see a certain level of optimism through the options. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of between that 650 and 7, and then the bears, not really much activity coming from them, to be fully honest, and looks like they're anticipating for it to be sub 550, which I think is a little bit far-fetched. With it right now at 623, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 525 is going to be a strong support. 636 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, and it kind of bounced off of that general area for the high today. So that's going to be a key pivot. And so yeah, let me know your general thoughts on Rezolve. On the actual chart though, quickly popping over here just to give you a quick overview of that, it is right now above that 10-day moving average. So there's a good amount of optimism and momentum still with Rezolve. Just comparing it to obviously this run up, it's night and day difference, but still it is above that 10-day moving average. Looking at the market position in comparison to, for instance, yesterday, you see a lot of willing sellers, but a little bit more willing buyers today. But still, that seems to be only up until about $6. So if that $6 does break, you could see a little bit of a pullback. And the low for today was 602. I myself did sell some puts, and so luckily enough, they actually have weekly options. So I did sell some 550 puts, and do that on any stock that you actually do like and you wouldn't mind owning. So even though this video largely bearish and I have some reservations, I still do feel like there is a lot of good upside with Rezolve. They just need to fine tune a lot of their kind of marketing and their PRs. That's just my own opinion. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but I did sell, like I said, 550 puts. So if you guys like stocks, suggest in kind of researching options, because if you sell a put, if it does go below your strike price that you did select, you buy the stock. So you can get a pretty good deal on that and not really chase stocks. And then either way, you get to keep the premium. So a little bit more of a win-win in my opinion. So take the time to research options in my opinion. But yeah, let me know your viewpoint on Rezolve. So I think right now, just a lot of institutions as well as shorts, they're just waiting to see what this company can do. But in my opinion, I think that if they want this news to be really positive and impactful to the stock price, they need to put out more, do a video and get Dan to even explain that in how he sees this framework really going, because they do kind of talk on the 3 steps down here, but it's nothing really significant. So that's just my opinion. So let me know your general thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.